Good morning, dear friends. Today is July 22. It is the feast of Saint Mary Magdalene. It has been 4 years since there was a decree that this day be celebrated not only as a memorial of that saint, but as a feast. I'd like to read an article from Archbishop Arthur Roche, Secretary of the Congregation for Divine Worship and the Discipline of the Sacraments, written that year. And he said, "By the express wish of the Holy Father, Pope Francis, the Congregation for Divine Worship and the Discipline of the Sacraments published a new decree on the Solemnity of the Most Sacred Heart of Jesus, 3 June 2016, in which the celebration of Saint Mary Magdalene was elevated and inscribed in the general Roman calendar with rank of feast." Maybe if we are not so familiar with the liturgy, we will not really see the value of this one. But when we go to Mass, for example, every day, there are times that we celebrate memorials, and there are special prayers for that. What I mean by prayers are the presidential prayers, that is the opening prayer, the prayer over the gifts, and the prayer after communion. And that is usually proper of the saint, or sometimes they take it from the common of the saints. But something special about the feast is that the Gloria is either recited or sung. And here, today, we celebrate that a feast. And so probably if you go to church, you would have recited the Gloria, or you may have sung it. Now, I'd like to read the Gospel of today, and it's from John chapter 20. The first part is from verses 1 to 2, and then the second part is 11 to 18. If we look at John 20, it is one of the narratives of the resurrection in St. John, the other one being John chapter 21. But I'd like to read it to you. On the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb early in the morning, while it was still dark, and saw the stone removed from the tomb. So she ran and went to Simon Peter and to the other disciple whom Jesus loved, and told them, "They have taken the Lord from the tomb, and we don't know where they put him." Mary stayed outside the tomb weeping. And as she wept, she bent over the tomb and saw 2 angels in white sitting there, one at the head and one at the feet where the body of Jesus had been. And they said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping?" She said to them, "They have taken my Lord, and I don't know where they laid him." When she had said this, she turned around and saw Jesus there, but did not know it was Jesus. Jesus said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping? Whom are you looking for?" She thought it was the gardener, and said to him, "Sir, if you carried him away, tell me where you laid him, and I will take him." Jesus said to her, "Mary." She turned and said to him in Hebrew, "Rabboni," which means teacher. Jesus said to her, "Stop holding on to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father. But go to my brothers and tell them, I am going to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God." Mary Magdalene went and announced to the disciples, "I have seen the Lord," and then reported what he told her. It is a beautiful gospel passage, going back to that decree of making this day a feast, in the rank of the feast, in honor of Saint Mary Magdalene. We remember what the title of the decree of the Pope was, and that was APOSTOLORUM, that is in Latin. And the English is Apostle of the Apostles. Well, that was the role of Mary Magdalene, a great role, something that was given to her, really as a privilege. In fact, she went and announced to whom? To the disciples, "I have seen the Lord." And so it is but proper that if the apostles' days are ranked as feasts, more so for Mary Magdalene, who delivered the news of the resurrection to the apostles. Now I'd like to focus on the reading, on a part of the reading. Of course, we know that it's one of the famous resurrection scenes, that encounter between Mary Magdalene and our resurrected Lord. So you would see there on your screen the icon of Mary Magdalene. At the same time, below, I placed there something personal. And what is that? That's a photo of a group of us taken last year. And that photo was taken at the spot where Jesus met Mary Magdalene on that morning of the resurrection. And that's why it is the altar of Mary Magdalene in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. And in the picture, you would see there Father Mon Borja, Father Jerry Martin, our provincial, and the one that we asked to preside for that Mass, Father Jose Dindo Vitug. And also, I was there also, and together with Father Ding, there were 5 of us. We went for that pilgrimage in the Holy Land because we were celebrating our Silver Jubilee of religious profession. And it was a privilege for us to celebrate Holy Mass there at the altar of Saint Mary Magdalene, where this episode in the Gospel happened. And you see that one famous phrase that is often quoted from this passage that even Rizal used as the title of his novel is the Latin expression Noli me tangere, or Noli me tangere. And the original, which is of course in Koine Greek, but which we readily translate to touch me not. However, that translation is misleading, for it seems to be a command that is forbidding. Other translations yield the beauty of the situation that was there in the encounter between Jesus and Mary Magdalene. Actually, the one in Greek, the tense is imperfect, meaning it's an action that goes on. No? That touching is not just a simple tap, but it's clinging to Jesus, such that in that encounter between Jesus and Mary, the interpretation of Noli me tangere should be, stop holding on to me, or stop clinging to me. It tells us of Mary's joy in seeing the Lord. That when you see someone you have not seen for a long time, you cling to that person. You hug that person. Of course, we don't readily identify with that during this COVID era, but I think it's something of human experience that we want to cling to a person whom we have not seen for a long time. So excited was she that she couldn't help but hold on to Jesus. And so it is this same kind of joy that we feel when we encounter Jesus after realizing the love He has for us, after a long time of suffering, or after a long dry spell of being away from Him on account of our sinfulness, or even in our times when we have not received Him physically in the Holy Eucharist, we have not received communion, then we long for that. And when we do experience receiving Him once again, it's our clinging to Him. So we cling to Him, and gently and smilingly, He would tell us, as how He has told Mary, Noli me tangere. For how we see and touch Him today is not the end, but merely a foretaste of what is to come, when we, like Him, would ascend to the Father. May this day be full of God's experience for all of us. I bid you a good day. May this day of Mary Magdalene be an experience for you